Wanted to first thank you for taking a moment to learn a little bit about a system that is going to help empower female emerging leaders and leaders in the workplace to speak up, be heard, and access their next level of impact, and also do it in a sustainable way. And we're going to hop in. You're going to learn a little bit about the data surrounding women in the workplace, some of the consequences, both of which you may or may not be familiar with, and but also a solution that I'm excited to share with you. So these probably don't sound too foreign to you about burnout and overwhelm for women in the workplace, especially after the pandemic year and a half that we've had, and also the impact of declining female leadership roles. And finally, that it's going to make this really disproportionately more challenging for women who are further marginalized within our gender. Now, these are just some facts that were found by McKinsey. If you want to take a moment to just see what they are, quite frankly, these were some sobering statistics. And while we want to have a look at these, we also want to really have a view of some graphs and some real numbers of what's going on for women in the workplace, and also compared to men, and also women, like I mentioned, who are further marginalized within our gender. So this was eye-opening, disturbing, and I really wanted to make it a mission to figure out a way not just to raise awareness. Most people, and the hundreds of women that I've had the honor of working with and male allies, that awareness is being raised, but progress is not being made quick enough. And so that is what we're trying to do. And really through the Limitless Leader system, have women and women who are further marginalized within our gender to course correct and start to take control and shifting these things back to, not back to, but forward to where they should be. All right, so there are some implications to these numbers, and some of them are erasing 6 years of progress because, as you probably know, COVID has made some of these figures even worse than they were. And 1 in 3 mothers are on their way to either downsizing their role and considering not going forward in leadership, dropping out of the workforce completely. And then, of course, women a lot of times are really women's allies. And so with these female leaders and emerging leaders either downshifting or dropping out of the workplace, it impacts, it's not great for them, but also there's a ripple down effect that's not so great for the folks around them. And then also to keeping in mind that 50% more women than men are involved in allyship and mentorship initiatives for female emerging leaders. And the statistic that I did not put in here is that there's a very statistically significant percentage of women who are more involved and committed to the DE&I efforts. I know there are a lot of amazing male allies and men doing that as well, but statistically speaking, at least according to McKinsey, that there's a significant more women doing that, and losing them would be really, really, really detrimental and unfortunate for the DE&I movement. So my name is Sheryl Kline. I am a mental toughness and certified high performance coach, best-selling author, speaker, and CEO and founder of the Zone Lab. And I'm really excited to present to you today a system that's going to help female leaders and emerging leaders to take charge and really look forward into having a voice, to speaking up, being heard, and having the impact that they were meant to, and also doing it in a sustainable way. Now, this is a system that I'm going to present to you. So let's go ahead and move this. It's a system. So it is a process that takes women through learning how to have the mindset and the influence to speak up, be heard, access their greatest sense of impact, and be able to do it in a sustainable way. And a couple of the standout things that this does is to allow women to learn how to stop allowing fear, doubt, or limiting beliefs that are holding them back, to becoming really confident and highly influential agents of change. we are from a evolutionary standpoint and sometimes from a cultural standpoint, not likely to speak up, to own what we do and own what our black belt is, what we're passionate about, what we're good at, and to be very highly confident when we go into those crucial conversations, and also to be highly emotionally agile. So learn how to do that and also have the tools to really get those dream projects, promotions, recognition, and also respect, that women want and deserve. And also, like I mentioned, to do it in a sustainable way and to be very aware of the emotional tax that comes along with being a woman in the workplace, and also, of course, being a woman who is further marginalized within our gender. So this limitless leader system is a way of controlling, reclaiming some control, or getting a little bit more control of the impact that we can have in the workplace, and not just the impact, but the joy, teaching us how to dream big and also lead the way to a course correction or a course change that we can all do together. And this program, we're all going to get this done and lay the foundation for this in about 3 months. All right, it's really, not to oversimplify, it's based on 3 things. The 3 things, the first thing is clarity. So in other words, high level aspirational, getting very, very in touch with purpose driven clarity. In other words, what is our highest sense of integrity? What is the legacy we want to leave? And then also getting a plan in place. And what are the things that we need to do in the coming days and coming weeks? Because we want to start high level first, so we can really think about how we want to leave the workplace for our colleagues, but also for our, for our kids, for our daughters, for our nieces, and the people coming behind us. So that is really important first. And then also for us to get a roadmap or game plan, and then building the confidence. There is a systematic way to build confidence so women can believe in themselves and believe in what they want as possible, and also give themselves permission to be highly agile and just to learn how to be, resilient and stay the course even when it gets difficult. And then finally, how to be highly influential. So influence doesn't happen in solitude. So this really teaches women how to have scientific based influence. It's based on the last 30 or so years in the social psychology of influence. So women can learn to mobilize allies, to support themselves with other people that are going to champion their efforts, and also to teach other people how to come up to their point of view. And keeping in mind that without clarity, we have no vision. So in other words, if we're not crystal clear on our purpose-driven clarity, if we don't have a game plan for what we want, a game plan for how we're going to bounce back and what we're going to do in the near, intermediate, long term, that we really don't have a vision for ourselves. And then finally, with confidence, if we are not confident, then over here we don't have a voice, because without confidence, whatever we're thinking in our mind tends to come out of our mouth. So if we have fear or doubt, or we don't want to talk about our accomplishments, or there's some of the things that we just are not, we're having fear, doubt, not believing in ourselves, and it's going to come out our tone. So it's teaching really female leaders and emerging leaders how to own their voice, and how to have a voice at the table, and how to be resilient, and really help others understand their value add, and do it in a very compassionate and calm way. So, and then finally, influence. If we're not highly influential, we're not going to have the significance that we could have, because we need others. We need others, like I mentioned, that significance and influence does not happen in solitude. And so it's how to help others come up with our point of view. And that is also scientific based. The content on confidence is built in the last 40 years of human performance research. And it's also been tested, tried and true on hundreds of women and also male allies and groups. And so don't worry, you are absolutely not guinea pigs in this. This framework has been tested and proven over the last 7 to 8 years. And so a couple of the benefits: to mitigate overwhelm and burnout, to increase confidence, like I mentioned, bulletproof accountability. So when I say this is a system, so there is a digital curriculum that teaches the Limitless Leader System, but also I'm going to personally be guiding a small group through this curriculum. So there will be accountability, there will be a support structure and other ambitious and heart-centered female leaders. And also there's going to be a custom short, I didn't put in here intermediate, but also short, intermediate, and long-term roadmap game plan. And I will be shoulder to shoulder with everybody, making sure that it happens and making sure to facilitate the group to make sure that everyone is supportive. Now, you might be wondering, well, why me? There's a ton of executive coaches out there, why me? And why the Limitless Leader System? Well, I have been a coach and advisor to some of the top female leaders here in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and worldwide, like I mentioned, for the last 8+ years. I've also worked with world-class performers for the last 2 decades. Facilitated small, large group workshops and trainings at Google Ventures, Autodesk, Jabra, B of A, VMware, Microsoft, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, just to name a few. The list kind of goes on and on. So like I mentioned, I am not just trying this out on you. What is different now is that there is a digital curriculum. So if you wanted to scale this into your company beyond me delivering a small group live mastermind, like small group coaching, and you wanted to scale it and make it available to others or a bigger, wider audience, then we can absolutely do that. This was filmed and produced just last summer. And then also keep in mind, like I mentioned, I have 20 years plus experience of training business leaders, their teams, and also world-class athletes. Now, just to give you some proof about the Limitless Leader System, and also taking someone, Kelly Nagel, through it as a one-on-one client when I went personally shoulder to shoulder with her for about 1.5 years. Also coached her team through it, and we ran a larger scale facilitation. There is now a case study. We'll make sure you can see this. That is at SherylKline.com/Jabra case study. And that will show some of the data, what we went through, what senior leaders, what Kelly was saying about it, and also what some of her direct reports and their teams were saying, and also the transformation and results they saw. They went through this all during the pandemic, and they did really incredible work while sustaining their success and really doing it in a sustainable way. So I encourage you to look at that case study. SherylKline.com/Jabra case study. And finally, if you are ready to empower female leaders and emerging leaders, and also I really do want to include male allies, because this is an inclusive group, and the facilitations included men, assuming that they are male allies, then let's chat, because I want to make sure, going back to the case study, with Kelly, just to give you an example or short story, Kelly was very confident in her leadership. She was very confident leading her team, but she did not have the respect of her peers or her CEO or the board. And that was really bothersome to her, and to have, she deserved that respect, but also she wanted to have the impact with the company. So this content is absolutely for emerging leaders, but also there is room for leaders to learn from it as well. And now that all, changed, she is very well respected by her peers. She has a consistent voice at board meetings, and rather than someone who can get the job done for the CEO, she's now really a confidant with him. And so this can happen at every level. And she really wished she would have had this as a manager or as a director or even as a VP. And so I just wanted to share that story with you. And again, it's not teaching leadership. What it's doing is helping your team and helping your the female leaders, emerging leaders, and also encouraging male allies to speak up, be heard, and really access that next level of leadership and do it in a sustainable way, so women can keep progressing in their leadership roles to really help course correct the world, course correct a lot of the crazy things that are going on in the world, and also to help with productivity, focus, profitability, and help changing the workplace, not just for them, but for their, think about what it could be for, our daughters, for our nieces, and for, the women coming in behind us. So thanks so much. I look forward to either speaking with you about going through this one-on-one with me personally, about a group mastermind that we're forming groups of 10 people, or for a larger scale facilitation.